This is Michael Popak with a Legal AF Hot Take. Donald Trump, all day Saturday, decided he was going to continue to bash a daughter of the judge who's presiding over his criminal case that starts on April the 15th. That daughter, a professional in the Democratic political marketing space, who's president or chief operating officer of a company called Authentic out of Chicago, that has represented the Biden campaign and Kamala Harris and Adam Schiff and others. She makes her money through a company that provides digital marketing advice and other advice for fundraising for Democratic interests. What does it have to do with Donald Trump having been indicted for 34 counts of felony business record fraud and election interference fraud in the state of New York? And what does it have to do with Judge Merchan, her father? I mean, they're both adults, presiding over the case until it gets to the jury. I mean, the grand jury indicted, a jury will convict or exonerate, and the trial judge makes decisions along the way. But in order for a trial judge to be bounced from a case, I mean, every defendant would try to get rid of a judge he didn't like by claiming that somebody in the judge's family makes money in some industry that relates to the defendant. That's all there is here. In order for a judge in New York to be bounced from court, there has to be a degree of relationship between the judge and a person who has a financial interest in the outcome, a stake in the outcome of the case that he's presiding over. She does not have a financial interest in the stake. That normally would happen, let's say, in a civil case, not a criminal case, where there maybe are money damages involved. And let's say, for instance, I'll use this as an example. Judge Merchan presided over a case involving a company. It was publicly traded. The daughter held stock in that company. And depending upon the outcome of the trial, whether it was a breach of contract or some sort of negligence case or a products liability case where somebody was injured, the daughter's nest egg stock position would be benefited or it would be diminished. And therefore, we don't like that appearance. But here it's so attenuated, so speculative. The best that they can come up with is Donald Trump blasting all day Saturday, blasting the daughter, Lauren Merchan, and claiming that the candidates that her company Authentic represents, like Adam Schiff running for a Senate seat in California, are getting donations by mentioning the fact that Donald Trump is indicted, more than 80 times now in various state and federal prosecutions. And therefore, he raised 10 or 20 or 30 or $80 million along with the other Democrats who also mentioned Donald Trump's legal problems. And because her company makes a percentage of the donations that are raised, and because they mention the trial, she has a financial stake in the outcome of the trial. I think they're making the money now. I mean, the fact that they're fundraising now, regardless of what happens in the courtroom, I think demonstrates the best that there's no financial connection between the judge and his daughter, the daughter and the trial. And without those connected dots, judge, daughter outcome, then there's no grounds to disqualify or accuse Judge Merchan. It is obvious that that is what Donald Trump is trying to do. That's why he says the judge is biased. The judge is compromised. We'll put some of them up on the screen. The judge is a Trump hater. The judge has discussed me with his daughter. That's a lie. The daughter was interviewed on a podcast, and in commenting about her digital marketing for modern politicians, her father, who's more old school, more OG, if you will, commented that he doesn't like when candidates use Twitter or X. He finds it unsavory. He thinks it is degrading. And he's right. And Donald Trump immediately saw himself in that comment. Aha! He has preformed opinions about me. Who cares? He's not being tried because of his Twitter account. He's being tried because of business record fraud in the state of New York, because he tried to cover up an affair, a one-time sex act in a hotel room with Stormy Daniels and tried to list it as a legal expense by paying off Michael Cohen, who's going to be testifying against him in the court of law. The evidence is going to convict Donald Trump, not Lauren Mershon, working out of Chicago, who used to support Kamala Harris for the presidency. How'd that go, by the way? Now, she later flipped and became a consultant, or her company did, for Biden-Harris campaign. All right, that did better and will likely do better. But unless there is a direct economic connection, Daddy, make this ruling because it'll help my clients raise more money. They're raising the money now. They're not waiting for the outcome. It's not outcome determinative. In other words, her people don't get more money based on a conviction. Adam Schiff is raising the money now. Biden campaign's raising the money now based on the body of work, if we'll call it that Donald Trump has developed and being indicted in 4 different places. And the civil fraud case. Everybody knows his legal problems. Donald Trump himself is using them to raise hundreds of millions of dollars, most of which are going for his own attorney's fees, right? It's a closed loop cycle. Most of the money that he's raising right now has to go for his attorney's fees and not for his campaign. I did another hot take breaking down where all the money's going at his burn rate of maybe $10 million a month towards his attorney's fees, as he establishes a waterfall of money coming from small donors, primarily being siphoned off to pay his attorney's fees. So Donald Trump's doing it. Now that's a direct benefit. You want to talk about a direct financial benefit between the trial, the convictions, and fundraising, it's Donald Trump's. Because he is directly using his being the quote-unquote victim of the Biden administration or those close to the Biden administration's prosecutions to raise money. Lauren Mershon, who nobody ever heard of, who works in a small digital political marketing firm that takes on Democratic causes and campaigns. Again, you have to be able to connect the dot and show direct financial pecuniary gain for a family member based on the ups and downs and decision-making of a presiding judge in a criminal trial. And you can't do that here. But we knew that Donald Trump was leading towards another attempt to throw a monkey wrench from his bag of monkey wrench to stop the trial on April the 15th, whatever he can do. And now at the last minute, even though he's had all of the facts, I know he loves, as does Alina Habba, to cite as their compendium of facts and evidence the New York Post, which is a tabloid rag sheet that I do read for the sports section, I will admit it, but for no other reason. Yes, it was founded by Alexander Hamilton, but it's long since lost its way, and it's now owned by Rupert Murdoch. It is a MAGA rag sheet. And they cite the New York Post, page 6, gossip column, whatever, all the time. Alina Habba, like her mentor Donald Trump, fights her way into the gossip column in page 6 all the time, whether it's taking her St. Bart's 40th birthday party with her girlfriends or the Mar-a-Lago 40th birthday party. She wants to be on page 6 of the New York Post. So New York Post, when it reveals an article that says, Lauren Mershon her clients make $93 million off of Donald Trump's legal exploits, I'm sure the Democrats are running against Donald Trump. Joe Biden is running against Donald Trump. To not talk about the person's resume, criminal resume, would be criminal. And so, but in order to get rid of the judge, you can't just raise your hand and say, she works for Democrats, which he's known for over a year. How do I know that? Because he already, Donald Trump, through his prior lawyer, criminal lawyer in the same case, Joe Tacopina, raised a motion to disqualify or recuse the judge, citing Lauren Mershon. And the judge went to his advisory committee on judicial ethics, who gave him an advisory opinion that said, you have nothing to worry about. This is not a violation of your code of ethics. Stay on the case. I'm summarizing. We've done this. This is deja vu all over again. But this is just being done for dilatory purposes. So the viewer guide I'm going to give you is Donald Trump constantly, incessantly attacks the daughter, Lauren Mershon, citing to New York Post articles, attacks the father, whatever he can get away with as the gag order is currently situated, because the judge did issue a gag order, but carved out his daughter and carved himself out, because we already did this recusal dance last year. And the judge is smarter than Donald Trump. So he said, I'm going to leave the daughter out of this. So Donald Trump's doing that. And then right on cue, the lawyers point to the noise and the publicity generated by their own client against Lauren Mershon to raise again the motion to disqualify based on the father-daughter relationship that's existed since, I think this person's 35 years old, for the last 35 years. They knew when they stepped into the courtroom on day one that Lauren Mershon worked for Democratic causes. And who cares? But just as the private life of Fani Willis got dragged through the mud before the judge decided not to disqualify her, they this combination, this unholy alliance of his lawyers and Donald Trump's social media campaign come together. And then, Mershon's got to either take the bait, hold a hearing, allow full briefing, and see what happens, or just ignore it. He likely will just ignore it. He has a trial on the docket, big red letter day, April the 15th, for Donald Trump. Can't forget it. He usually forgets it because it's also tax day, but Donald Trump's never paid taxes and never filed his returns on time. But putting that aside for a minute, the Lauren Mershon red herring smokescreen needs to come to a conclusion, and the curtain needs to come down on it. And that's up to the judge. I think the way he handles it is probably ignore it, doesn't allow full briefing on this issue. They can file whatever motion they want. He'll quickly reject it. There's no new facts since last year when they filed the motion the first time, other than the New York Post article, self-created, manufactured facts by Donald Trump in a self-serving fashion, which don't count. No new information, no new facts, nothing to disturb the original recommendation or advisory opinion by the Judicial Ethics Board to Judge Mershon, and he will reject it and deny it. He will not certify this issue to the appellate court, and they can go pound sand. This trial starts on the 15th of April, come hell or high water. They'll try to get some justice of the appellate division, First Department in Manhattan, who's the appeals court boss for Judge Mershon, to try to shut this down on April 15th. And I doubt that's going to go anywhere. But if there's any filings, we'll follow it right here on Legal AF and on the MeidasTouch network. Legal AF, yes, you'll find out what that means when you join us on Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And then on Hot Takes like this one, where I sit at the intersection of law and politics, bringing it to you uninterrupted. If you like what I'm doing, Michael Popok, give me a thumbs up. Follow me at MS Popok. There's a little tab up there. You can take a look at it. And then leave me a review, leave me a comment, a thumbs up. I've been known to talk back. We do like a little bit of a talk back. And then until my next hot take, until my next Legal AF, this is Michael Popok reporting.
It's Ken Harbaugh with the MeidasTouch Network. The film Against All Enemies, which I co-produced with Ben Meiselas and this network, has won awards around the world for its up-close portrayal of America's insurrectionist movement. It premieres in the U.S. on March 29th on Amazon and Apple TV. Go to againstalllenemiesfilm.com or click the link below. But don't just watch Against All Enemies. Tell your friends about it. It's one more way to hold accountable those who threaten our democracy. Thanks, Meidas Mighty. Let's use our power well.